Welcome back, guys. In this lesson we're going to create some text and graphics using the Essential Graphics panel that was introduced in the 2017 update of Premiere Pro. So if you have the latest version, you also have this new panel, and they've introduced a whole new way on how text and graphics are created. So let's have a look inside the program. Let's locate that panel, the Graphics Essential. By default you don't see it, so we have to go up to the menu, select Window, and say Essential Graphics right here. And once you click on that, a new panel will appear on the right side, like that. Let me just enlarge that a tiny bit more. What we are seeing here first are some templates that we can use, but that is for the next lesson. For now, we're going to head over to the tab here on top and click on Edit, like that. In the Edit tab, we can create our own text and edit the text, of course. But first, we have to create a text layer, and there are two ways we can do that. First up, we can click here on that New Item button, and that is the same button as we can find here down below in our project panel to create new items. And when you click on that, we can choose between text, vertical text, a rectangle, ellipse, or we can also import an image file in here. And the second way to create new text is by using your toolbox right here, and I already have my text tool selected. Right here is the type tool. By holding down your mouse click, you can also choose for the vertical type tool. But for now, let's just select that type tool. And those graphics can be found underneath the pen tool right here. The pen tool allows you to create custom shapes, but if we again click on that, hold down your click, we can also create rectangles or ellipses. All right, let's take back that text tool right here. And what we can simply do is just head over to the program monitor and click in there. And that allows us to start typing. So let's type something in here. Let's say my first text, like that. And while I'm doing this, you can now see in the Graphic Essentials panel that a new layer here has been created, My First Text. And a bunch of options will open up underneath that because we've just created that text. What I want to do now is grab my arrow tool right here. And that way I can enlarge my text like this. I can grab it, move it to a different position, etc. And these options right here can also be changed from that panel here on the right side. And this is something that we've seen as well with the motion property of a clip. It works exactly the same. So we can change the position of that text like this or like that, or we can also align it automatically in the middle. We can align it vertical in the center, and we can align it horizontally in the center like that. So that way you're sure that you have your text in the middle of your framing. Or sometimes when you are, for example, creating subtitles, you might want to stick your text here on the bottom like that and only align it on the horizontal axis like that. And we have a few more options like rotating this through this option. We can change the opacity as well. And these are things that we are familiar with now. Scrolling down, we also see some more text options like the font, which is also pretty obvious. And let me just take something else right here. Let's go for this Sigu script. Then down below that, we can change things like, does it have to be in bold? What's the size of the text? Etc. These are things that we also know from text editors. And then down below that, we can change some more things to the appearance. So we can give it a color, which is the fill color. We can give that some kind of a red color like this. And we can also give that a stroke by enabling that and change that stroke color. Or we can also increase that stroke width like this. Next to it is also a color picker. So let's say that we want to have the same color for the stroke as the fill color. What we can then do is just click on that color picker right here. And we can select any color here on our screen. So that means we can either select the color from the middle of that text to get that red color. But sometimes, which is easier, is just clicking on that fill color right here. There we go. And now we have like this very bold text because we've added the same color as stroke as well. We can also give it a shadow, but because we are in a black background, you won't see that much from it. But I think this is all pretty clear. This is something that you just have to play around with, see what these different settings do. It will just kind of change the style of your text, nothing more. All right, let's have a look here at our timeline because there's something changing here as well. Suddenly we have this new graphics layer in here, and that is that text that we had before. Now when I have that clip selected and I'm going to head over to my effects controls, just like we can do with any other clip, we would also see that motion property, that opacity property, but also, and that has been applied as an effect, we have a text effect onto it. But basically that just comes down to having a text layer on this clip right here. And from the effects controls, we can kind of change the same settings as we would see here in the Graphic Essentials panel. But most of the time, the Graphics Essential panel is a little bit more convenient or user-friendly to work with than through the effect controls right here. Now let's say that we want to add a graphic to our design right here, so a circle or something like that. Now we can add that circle inside this layer as well, or we can create a new layer. Let's first add it to the current layer. And we can simply do that by having this clip selected. We can here head over to our layers from the Graphics Essential panel and click on the New Item button right here. Or we can also take the pen tool or the circle tool right here from the toolbox. Make sure that that clip is selected, and then we can start drawing inside our program monitor like this. And now that circle will be added to that same clip. And that gives us a few advantages, because since we have multiple items inside that same clip, we can change the position of that clip. Let me show that to you guys. With this selected, again, I'm going to head over to my effects controls, but this time, and you will see it right here, we have a text and a shape right here. But up here, the motion property allows us to change the position of that clip. And since these two graphics are on the same clip, all of them will move with me. But when I'm going to head into the options of those two layers here, the graphics, or I can also just use my Graphics Essential panel here on the right side. Let me click here on the shape, for example, and that will bring up some options. So from here, I can change the position of that individual circle, as you can see. I can change the color, change the size, etc. And also when I'm going to select the text layer in here, I can also change the size, change the position, and so on. Now, just like with effects like we've seen previously, the order of your graphics is important here as well. Because let's say that I'm going to put this text right here. Let's just make that white so that it's a bit more clear what I'm doing right here, like that. And let me just also remove that stroke, and I'm going to take back my selection tool. That way I can grab this text and move it in front of that circle, but not really. It seems to be behind that circle. Well, that is because of the order of the layers. And let me just scroll up here in my Essential Graphics, and let's move the shape right here underneath the text. And also in our program monitor, now the shape is behind that text. So that way you can kind of create your own custom designs that way. Now, to create a new graphic inside a new clip, what you then have to do is just deselect that clip right here. And again, take your type tool or something different. Let's perhaps take the pen tool right here from my toolbox, which allows me to create a custom shape by just clicking multiple times in here, like that. Photoshop users are used to this, and that way you can create a new graphic or a new shape inside a new clip as well. So that is something that you have to see for yourself if you are creating designs inside Premiere Pro, that you can either group them within one clip, or you can also separate them within different clips. Now let's assume that what we have created right here is so awesome that I want to save this for all my future work. What I can then do is create a template out of this. But that is for the next lesson. Thanks for watching.